didn't filter out enough of the infrared radiation that comes off of this torch. So needless to say, I had to just sort of, take a couple steps back and reevaluate what I was doing. And which kind of brought me to this place where I am now, where I'm making a lot more, smaller pieces, but things that I've found a market for, things that are really, interesting to people, like particularly the flowers. That was something that I developed by making a mistake one day.
Oh,
I was making this big wine goblet, and and sometimes it gets away on you, and because you're constantly turning and you're constantly using gravity to keep the liquid, molten liquid, centered. And so this one day, this thing fell over, got away on me, and I looked down, it melted down into this big thing, and I looked into it, and I thought, wow, that kind of looks like a flower. And so from there, I just, over the years, experimented. And at that point, I never would have imagined that I could actually take the amount of time that I take to make the flowers and still get what I would need, for value. And you know what? Sure enough, people, they really have taken to them. And so it's proving to be not only a, trend and popular, but good for, income.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are you the only glass blower around, or how many, do you know, like, is there lots in the Kootenays?
There is now. When I first came to the Kootenays, actually, I moved to Nelson, and I came in with my glass blowing equipment, and nobody around here was doing it whatsoever. And there's my bead. And so anyways, I started, doing a lot of business in Nelson, and sure enough, another glass blower came to Nelson after a couple of years, and I got together with him. His name was Doug. And then, sure enough, we both, between the two of us, had started to teach people. And so from there, we kind of had a small group. There was about 6 of us, and we went into Nelson and we opened a store, a little live working studio called Hourglass. So now, since then, I've left there, but they have ended up teaching, and I've done a lot of teaching. So now there's quite a community of glass blowers around here that I know of anyways. Aside from the big soft glass shop that's over in Crawford Bay, this is, there's not too many of us doing this type of it's called lamp working.
And so I remember seeing a documentary on glass blowing on TV, and I actually saw them blowing, like, with their mouth.
Yes.
What is all that about?
Well, that I do blowing as well. And so when you have vessel, I'm just going to put this in the kiln now to keep it hot. So anything that's a vessel obviously is blown, but as well I blow, the beads. I start with a big hollow round thing that I've blown out, which I can't really do on camera. It will take a long time, but and then from there I trap everything inside this big bubble and melt it back down to solid. So I'm blowing using a blow tube like this, for example. I would heat this up, and I might turn this into, a little vase or something like that. Let's see if I can just try here. And so with the end of these blow tubes, this is what we blow through. And
so the glass what you're melting down, that's what you're going to blow.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you buy them like that?
I buy them like this, yes.
And if it was a bigger something that you were going to make, then you would use?
A big, huge one. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to see it be all liquidy.
Yes, it is, the molten form. It gets really hot, though, I tell you, in the summertime, because I'm using it, when it gets all liquidy, let's see if this works. I'm using a big flame like this. And even though it's, sort of looks small, it's really, 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 really hot. And that's where I start gathering the heat. And on larger pieces, I'll even go way bigger. And that's why I've actually, I don't do that so much really large vessels anymore, because like the heat coming off of here right now it's extreme. And I've started to notice that with my skin, like I always thought about my eyes and the infrared radiation, but I never thought about my skin. And I started to notice that I have to be more careful, because it's just like the sun. We call it a torch tan. And you definitely are getting the radiation, the infrared. I'm just going to blow a little ball. So yeah, so now I've opened up this studio here, and I intend on getting back into another thing that I had to, part of my reevaluation with the large glass blowing was that I couldn't so much do large scale, production as much as I would need. And so I started teaching about 7 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I've worked with a lot of different, you know, advanced glass blowers and beginner glass blowers. I've worked with youth, you know, like in the city with disadvantaged youth, and so my teaching skills have definitely, I've been working on those over the years, and now that's my intention for this studio is I'm going to start holding workshops.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I'm just blowing out a bubble, and you'll notice that I have to keep it spinning. So that's, you know, that's just a really little basic example of, yeah, how I would start blowing. And this is something that would, you know, turn into a wine goblet essentially. If it was larger, I would start, you know, like that, and then I would blow out the big stem. I mean the big
Yeah.
cup. Yeah. And then, you know, if I were to just let this droop, you know, if I, you know, I use gravity, you know, and my angles and my flame, and it would start drooping down and stooping down, and if I stopped turning, it would just turn into a big liquid. Big liquid. So there it goes. See, it's
Yeah.
falling. Now I don't know. I might turn that into something really neat. Looks kind of cool.
That's really great.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is interesting. It sure is a lot of science, and that's one thing that's really cool when you start learning about it. You get to start understanding the alchemy, you know, the metals